game. And if you look at the end of this game, they were celebrating like they won the bloody Champions League. They were going up, they were doing practically laps of honor, and they were hugging each other, and they were it looked like they'd won a cup. And I think
played it that way. They played it that way.
Yeah.
If you watch the way that they broke up play, they were dropping like flies, and the guy next to me was absolutely losing his shit. So that every time someone went down, they'd go down in the middle of the pitch and they'd start arguing with the referee about the challenge and the decision. And as soon as one of their players argued with the referee about the challenge and the decision, the water bottles came up onto the pitch. They didn't just do it by the side; they popped them onto the pitch. They do it half on the pitch, and then they put it right on the pitch, so that they had to then come off. And there'd be things like if the ball went out of play, and it was our ball, but it went into a Newcastle player's hand. They'd cut the ball onto the pitch so that there was then two balls on the pitch. So you had to, everything that they could do to break up the game and slow down the game. They did.
Like tying laces up and sorting the shin pads. I mean, okay,
it's a masterclass.
It is, it's part of the thing. But the fact is that we have to know how to deal with that sort of crap, and we have to be able to do better than that and understand. Now we're at a point in our development where we're seen as a scout. It's going to be harder for us to win games now because people really want to turn us over as a kind of testament to where they're at.
Someone said there was 55 minutes of football in that game. 55 minutes of actual football. So but yeah, hey. I don't know. I mean, this might be a short pod. I don't really know what else to say about that game apart from the fact I was really, really fucked off. Simon, you look like you want to say something.
No. I mean, I think that's the thing. I felt going into it with the 4 injuries or whatever it was we were carrying, we were going to struggle, and we did. And that kind of is not a good place to be. It exposes the weakness, I suppose. I think you were talking about earlier, Lee, which was about being a reactionary fan base. So of course, two losses on the bounce, everyone starts losing their minds over it. But yet, I think someone said today, actually, where we were at the start of the game in terms of points per games played is still, I think, up there in terms of we're better than we were last season, and might just be off the cusp now of our best ever start, because it certainly was just before the Man U game. So sure, okay, it's disappointing. We've got 4 big injuries. That exposes the weaknesses in the side. There are clearly other options he could potentially do, maybe, but isn't inclined to do so yet. So there's a signal there to the board, which is actually the January transfer window is still an opportunity to strengthen the squad. Frustratingly, we've still got a World Cup, which is going to probably not do us any favours.
Simon, I think that's actually a really good point as well. That World Cup thing, I think we can't underestimate how that's affecting players' mentalities. And you wonder, like Conte seemed to be suggesting that with Romero, he was almost, choosing when to play, almost like because he's worried about when the World Cup's coming up. And I can see a number of players. It must be in their heads. I mean, I know it's the same for everyone, but I just wonder. I mean, like Conte's comments today were basically about we just need to manage these games to the World Cup. It's almost like he just cannot wait to get over that line because it's just a case of just getting these games done. Because it's hanging over him.
I mean, there's a couple of points, right? So it's interesting that you're right, but there's a lot of noise being made about the World Cup and the timing of the World Cup, but we seem to forget that for other countries, like or for other parts of the world, when we're playing the World Cup in the summer, like that's in the middle of their season. You know what I mean? And they're like, so they have to manage it, and we're like, oh fuck, it's absolutely disgraceful. Oh, players have to manage it. They're not focusing on this, but it's everywhere. It's somewhere. Wherever we play a World Cup, it's going to be, it's going to be kind of mid their season. So everyone has to kind of have a turn at kind of managing that. And this is the first time ever, I think, that we've ever really been affected in this way. So it's just something I think we're probably going to need to get used to in terms of football being a global a global sport. So
on another distracting comment as well, actually, I don't know if you've seen this, but I know in a couple of papers and also the journalists have been asking in press conferences, as we predicted coming up to this time, Conte's future again keeps coming up.
He was quite good at that. But he was quite good at batting that away today, wasn't he? He said, like, it's not the time to talk about. I need to focus on this at the moment. Blah blah blah. I think what I did. I don't know how much of the press conference you watched or how much attention you paid to it, right? But you talk about the World Cup, but I also wondered if he'd given kind of a little bit more significance to qualifying for the Champions League, getting out of the group. Because there seems to be, he spoke about, taking a risk tomorrow. So I think that was a risk with some of the players. So, like, either Kuti or Højbjerg might be back tomorrow. Lucas might start, I think. I'm not sure. It sounded like he was, he felt that tomorrow is the time to take the risk. So maybe he didn't want to risk some of these players for the league games. But, like, knowing that tomorrow is like a one-off game, if we can win that game against like Sporting tomorrow, then that qualifies us out of the group, and then we can forget about the Champions League for a while, and then switch our focus to the league for the remainder of the time up until the World Cup begins, and then and then we can go again. So
the other thing that's important in terms of that as well, Steve, is if we win tomorrow and Frankfurt beat Marseille, we can basically feel the dinner ladies and on in the next game, because we're qualified top of the group.
Yeah.
And that then gives us potential for a little bit of easing and resting players in terms of the schedule of how we finish in the next few weeks. So
do you think, and this one, I think I'll ask this one to Rich mainly because he hasn't had a chance to say a lot, but secondly, I think because in the WhatsApp group, I think he might have made this comment. So, like, if Lee's right and the results go our way tomorrow, do you think that's a chance next week for Forster to get some game time?
Well, I think it should be. I mean, I think what I was saying in the WhatsApp group was that I suspect that, like I say, he will only play those really unimportant games, and I think that's really problematic this season with the often spoken about problems that we're having with Hugo at the moment. I think he really should be getting that time now, because he deserves to be able to prove that he's able to do it in a situation when we require it, and that's what rotation's all about, isn't it? And although Hugo's the club captain, nobody should be immune from being rested in those situations, should they?
100%. So we'll see. It'd be good if we could rest quite a number of those players next week. Okay, I think. Do you know what? I think we're gonna wrap up well before the hour today. So great. Let's move on. I think to looking ahead to tomorrow's game. Simon, are you going, or are you not going to that?
No, I'll be there.
Good stuff. Yeah, me too. Yeah.
What time are you getting there for?
I haven't planned that yet.
I'll text you. Maybe we'll have a beer beforehand.
All right, yeah, sounds good. Well, I'm looking forward to the beer. I'm looking forward to the game. Looking forward to the beer. Oh, so
that's why I thought that gives me a reason not to back out.
Before we do move off to the game, we do need to talk about the halftime deluge. So
good God.
I mean, it was like I don't know where you're sat, Simon, but like where I was sat, so I was further forward, and like you could see Coity was on the pitch with Chris, wasn't he? And I don't remember the name of the other gentleman, and they're talking about Proud Lily Whites, and it was all good. And he's going, we're going to get a little bit wet, and you look up and you just see all this rain, and it just felt like the rain was, even though it was close, it felt like it was somewhere else because you could see it. It looked really heavy, but it wasn't really affecting us. And then all of a sudden something happened, and it just kind of changed direction and just fucking deluged everyone.
It was insane.
It was mental. You just saw everyone fucking leave their seats, running down the down the stairwells, and like the stewards were going mental. Clear the stairwell.
Which block were you in?
1-1-1, I think. 1-1-1. So Paxton lower. But as I say, normally I'm right at the back, and I probably might have been a bit. Well, I don't know. I don't think I would have been safe because everyone was going right at the back. But yeah, I was further forward and I wasn't protected. But it was amazing because it only literally lasted for half time, and then fun. and then as soon as the second half was due to start, it stopped. People came back out, and then who knew that the fan base has an aversion to sitting on wet seats. No one would sit down apart from this 6'5" black guy that was sat next to me, who was absolutely losing his shit at the guy in front of him. I'm fucking pissed off with the result. Don't piss me off anymore by standing up. Sit down. So the guy in front sat down, but everyone else was stood up. So you end up having to stand up, because otherwise you don't see it. But no,
well, I'm in the East Upper, so it kind of as I said, it was half time, and they were doing the halftime spiel because it was playing Rainbow Laces game. They had Chris and Lee, and they had this whole big plan that they were going to press the button and light the stadium up, and there'd be a drone which they'd send up, and it would show the roof lighting up and all this business. And basically, it looked like the thing had been struck by lightning because the heavens opened, there was thunder and lightning, and we thought, oh, maybe this is part of the show, maybe this is all part of the thing. And then all you saw, this rain just come sideways, literally sideways through the stadium.
Yeah,
and it seemed to sort of focus, because I think that's where I was looking, focus on the away end. And literally, you just saw all these Newcastle fans that are busy celebrating, waving their tops in the air, get absolutely drowned.
But that's,
almost like washed down the stairwell into the concourse.
Yeah, well, that's where I was.
Like ants get washed down the drain hole. Brilliant.
Yeah, and I was just along from that. So as they left, we all left. It was just like it was crazy. I really wish I'd managed to video like the video of the lightning and everything, because it would have been spectacular to kind of to look at. But
it was quite a moment, and not what anybody planned.
You could really see it on TV as well, because normally when it's raining, sometimes you go, I think it's raining. And sometimes the camera doesn't quite pick it up. Believe me, it picked it up. It looked absolutely stair rods going like, as you say, horizontally coming into the lower areas. And at the beginning of the second half, I was thinking, where is everybody? And then obviously you realise why no one was coming out.
Absolutely. They're drowned rats.
Fantastic self-preservation.
A couple of hours later, that very self-same storm made it up into Warwickshire, where I was happily on the farm chopping logs for the boat, and I looked round and thought, fucking hell, it's gone a bit dark all of a sudden. Sort of before I could sort of work out what was happening, it was like the fucking end of the world happened. Land Rover, and it was like a scene off our cheap horror film, because it was making the Land Rover rock from side with it all. I said, the fucking hell's happening out there? It's the world. And by the time it stopped, I got out there. Of course, all the timber was absolutely soaked. I was soaked to the fucking skin. Everything was soaked to skin. So I sat there freezing fucking cold all night on Sunday because I couldn't even light a bloody fire.
Yeah, no, it was I don't know. I'd like to say it was a one-off event, but I think it was pretty shit a couple of days before that and pretty shit a couple of days after. So anyway, okay, let's move on as we were going to. So Sporting tomorrow. But I think it's interesting because the notes that I kind of copied in were after the North London derby, and there was a game. I can't remember what the game was, and I said we're kind of not in good form, and we're overall we're still not in good.
It was a Frankfurt game.
Yeah, I think so. And I said, I think we're still not in good form. We're not really in good form at the moment. And I think we need to break that cycle somehow. I'm worried that we're not going to break that cycle until Kulusevski comes back. That's how kind of integral he is to the team.
It's funny, isn't it? For years and years and years, people have been saying we're a one-man team, and we've been saying, no, we fucking ain't. And it turns out we are a one-man team, and it's Harry Kane.
Yeah, he's a ginger from Sweden. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So